win!
This scene right here was absolutely my favorite scene in the entire show. However, with that said, it was just not enough for me to keep me engaged with the whole show.
Hello there everybody, this is Ralph from the Galactic B.O.G, and we're here to talk about the latest Star Wars show, Andor. Now firstly, I should mention that I have yet to see Season 2, so I can't comment on that, but I've heard a few things here and there. Why I haven't chosen not to see the second season is because, well, I personally did not enjoy the Season 1. Why? Well, there are a few reasons. So something I recognize is that everywhere I look, people praise the show. Even a lot of my friends praise the show. But I do have many other friends who have shared my critiques with Andor. And this leads into my complaint about the community. A lot of them are rather toxic. I don't agree with everything that Star Wars Theory puts out, but I do recognize him as a fan of Star Wars and a good person. And now every time I watch his video, I go into the comments section and all I see are people bashing him for choosing to no longer watch Andor. Like, guys, he dislikes the show. He reviews it and gets hates for his opinion. Why should he bother to make the videos that is just going to produce hate towards himself? He complains that Andor doesn't feel like Star Wars and the world feels too close to Earth, which I agree. I remember watching the scene on Coruscant when that character returns to his mother, and I thought to myself, this looks like an airport. Turns out it was shot at an airport. And I'm not against them using real sets like they did for Naboo. But please, if you're gonna do that, please immerse me into the world of Star Wars, please. Heck, Skeleton Crew, I thought the designs were a little closer to Earth than normal, but yet somehow they still made it feel like it belonged in the galaxy far, far away. Which, mind you, I wouldn't call Skeleton Crew a huge spectacle or anything, yet I still really loved the show. Speaking of that, one argument that is made against those that dislike it is that we can't handle the fact that Jedi, lightsabers, the Force, etc., isn't in the show, and I have two things to say about that. Firstly, The Mandalorian. I wasn't expecting it to be connected to the Jedi at all. It had Grogu, but Season 1 was still very standalone in a way, and far from the Jedi, technically speaking. The finale of Season 2 excited me because I thought it was going to be cool that we were going to go to see something new in the next season without any connections to anything that we've seen before. But of course, Season 2.5, aka The Book of Boba Fett, had to ruin that, and Season 3 brought that back. Point is, I'm not against the show not featuring these elements. My second thought, though, is this. Despite me saying I don't need Star Wars with those elements, isn't that one thing that kickstarted the whole world of Star Wars? Isn't that what made it so unique, was the Jedi religion? Like, I can't blame fans for not liking that if that is true. It wasn't for me, but that's true. Like, pen on paper, The Acolyte should have been the best Star Wars show with that argument. But no, that show ruined Star Wars lore, and also, what the heck happened with those witches and the kid? Following that is to talk about the S content. Well, I do agree with Theory, at least partially. I wasn't a big fan of Season 1 with all that implied nonsense that the show had to include. In Episode 6, yeah, you have Leia in that outfit, but I doubt anything really bad actually happened to her in that short time frame. Like, yes, it wasn't great what happened to her, but I think it's implied that Luke had the situation under control, and I doubt he would have asked Leia to be in any situation that would have violated her into that extreme. In Andor, you have scenes that have heavy implications that things happened. Season 2 had the scene where, yes, I understand nothing actually happened to the girl, but the fact that it was brought into the story is just something I don't want to watch, especially in Star Wars. Look, I watch a show called The Mentalist, and quite often it gets into those topics, and I get it, it's an adult crime show. Star Wars I always viewed as a piece of art that is something of all ages could enjoy. Sure, I might skip some scenes in Revenge of the Sith, but the younger audience can still understand what happened without their innocence being destroyed. And those scenes become part of the plot. And speaking of the plot, in my opinion, the pacing of the show is really slow. Granted, this isn't always a bad thing. The issue I take with it is that it develops the characters too slowly, thus making them unenjoyable to watch. Like, take Luthen, for example. He is remembered for his famous speech at the end in Episode 12, which was a phenomenal speech. I don't disagree. My issue is that I didn't have a reason to care for him until that moment, which that is 12 episodes later. It was too late to save his character for me. This is my issue with all the characters. The stuff that makes them relatable, enjoyable, interesting happens at the end of the show for me and others. I don't enjoy the fact that we went from the originals with clear good versus evil to now bad versus worse. Thunderbolts did something similar where it's about a bunch of bad people coming together for the greater good, but it introduces topics about the characters that engages you to care. Andor doesn't do that. If you found something interesting about him at the time, by all means, good for you. Enjoy it. But please, that's a subjective opinion, and my opinion is a subjective opinion as well. To bring it back, I really don't appreciate the fact that those who love Andor can't have a civilized discussion with someone who doesn't. Look, I hate The Acolyte. I hated The Last Jedi. But I do have a friend who enjoyed The Last Jedi, and I could understand her reasons for liking that movie. The biggest problem with the world today is that no one is willing to have a civilized conversation with anyone. Just look at Thanksgiving memes about politics at the table. Everyone is so polarized and not willing to hear out the other person. We all just assume that we are right and the other person is dead wrong, or just plain evil. Guys, come on! If you are going to love a show, love it, but don't forget to love your fellow human. Listen, I'm not trying to say every fan of Andor is toxic. Thor, Skywalker, and Bombastic remain my favorite Star Wars YouTubers, and they both really love the show, and yet are very respectful people. I'm not trying to say they aren't the good fans, but there are a lot of the toxic ones, and my last point I want to say to them is this. You enjoyed Andor for being the adult Star Wars show. Well then, please, enjoy it as an adult, and when someone disagrees, don't be a child. Alrighty, thank you all for watching. If you made it this far and disagree with everything I said, I appreciate it for at least hearing me out. May the Force be with you all, and God bless.